tardes, ¿cómo están todos? La alcaldesa Carmen Yulin está aquí. Give her a big Holyoke round of applause. So we are just so incredibly proud to have Mayor Carmen Yulin here in the city of Holyoke. As you know, she spent the last couple of days in Western Massachusetts. I want to thank so many people that were part of putting this event together. We have City Councilor Josie Valentin, who has helped bring this event together. We have a few short presentations, and I have a couple of gifts for the mayor. I do want to acknowledge a couple of the other city councilors who are here. Ward 1 City Councilor Gladys LeBron Martinez. We have Councilor at Large Joseph McGivern was here. Thank him. Thanks, Joe. Councilor at Large Michael Sullivan is here. Thank you, Mike. Mayor Julene said she can't see you. There you are. We also have back there our former mayor Marty Dunn, who was mayor when I was born in 1989. I also want to thank Marcos Marrero. He's our Director of Planning and Economic Development, who also helped make sure that the mayor was welcomed here to the city. We have our Police Chief, Jim Neiswanger. Thank him for being here. Kathy Anderson from the Greater Holyoke Chamber of Commerce. And I also just want to thank my team here at City Hall. I see many department heads here that work so hard on behalf of the city each and every day. And so from my office to all of you, thank you for servicing our residents day in and day out. I want to particularly thank the folks in my office, Milko Ortiz, who actually is from Comorillo and just got back a couple of weeks ago. I also want to thank Andres Villada, Corey Casey, and Eileen Pooler in my office for their help. Before I begin, and as you know, and I'm preaching to folks who know this so well, but the past 6 months have obviously been challenging for Puerto Ricans and Puerto Rico in general on the island, and you like that flag, huh? I want to thank Dr. Pope. She's the head of the Holyoke Community Charter School that made sure we had that flag today, so thank you. I think over the last 6 months, there has always been a proud and a pride to being Puerto Rican here in the city and the connections between Western Mass, Holyoke in particular, and the island, and I think that has only strengthened over the last 6 months to see the resilience of people here in the city of Holyoke doing everything they can to give back to those in need. I want to thank our superintendent of schools, and as we discuss schools, we've had over 235 students from the island of Puerto Rico enroll in the Holyoke Public Schools, and so we've worked hard to make sure that they can get a great education in the Holyoke Public Schools, and thank all of our teachers, our educators for doing all they can to serve so many students in a time. Coupled with our public schools, we also, back right after Hurricane Maria, convened a team down at Enlace de Familias. And I want to thank Benny Medina Lichtenstein and her team, Frankie Martinez and other folks that work at the Welcome Center down at 299 Main Street. Since Hurricane Maria hit, they've seen over 3,000 individual people walk through that Welcome Center here on Main Street in the city of Holyoke. And Frankie is here. Him and I actually went to high school together. He moved to Salinas and recently came back after the hurricane and turning what was devastation into giving back to other Puerto Ricans here in the city. So thank you, Frankie, and your team. Again, I've been asked as mayor what it means to have Julene here in the city of Holyoke, and it really has been an inspiration to so many folks here in the city. You have just been an absolute force of nature. I enjoy watching you on Rachel Maddow when you're getting interviewed. And I know so many people have just been, in such a time of despair, you've provided a beacon of hope and opportunity for Puerto Ricans. And when many people expect us as elected officials to fall in line and go through proper channels and take no as an answer, you've been a great example of saying, you know what, these aren't the proper protocols. We're not going to take what we're given. We're not going to take no for an answer because people are sick, people are dying, people are in despair, and you really epitomize what leadership means, and I think you've been a role model not only to me, but so many people here in the city of Holyoke, and for that we're incredibly grateful for your leadership, and we're so glad you're here. Before I introduce the mayor you really want to hear from, because you hear from me all the time. I have a Holyoke Sporting Goods. I have a shirt, Holyoke. I'll wear that.
You have to count. 1, 2, 3.
You got a hat. I know she likes to wear hats. I see her out there trekking with the hat on. And then actually, in the last 7 years, I've never given an official key to the city to anybody. And we thought it was appropriate to honor Mayor Yulin with an official key to the city. And while it's a symbolic physical key, it means so much that she is always welcome here. She is remembered here. She will go down in history, both on the island and here in the city of Holyoke. And so on behalf of all of us in the city, our residents, I'd like to present you with an official key to the city of Holyoke. And you are always welcome back. So without further ado, help me welcome Mayor Yulin to the city of Holyoke.
¿Cómo están? ¿No suenan bien? ¿Cómo están? First of all, I want to thank the mayor. We met the day of my inaugural. I think it was January 14th, 2013. And we had never met. Josie Valentin somehow, in true Puerto Rican fashion, just crashed the party. And then, you know, they bring this young man full of life and full of ideas and full of the spirit of a city. So to me, as a mayor, it's nice to be at City Hall. I spend very little time at City Hall, as your mayor does. He doesn't spend much time here because he spends time where the true power is, which is amongst its people. And that's where true power lies. And our former mayor is also there. You know, we all know that if our time in office is going to mean something, it has to be in order to ensure that the office is a platform for people to be engaged and to push their agenda through. It isn't our agenda that's important. It's your agenda that's important. So it isn't who's the mayor that's important, as long as you have the right mayor. We know. So it's good, you know, one of the things that he said to me then, which he said to me again today, and he said, I don't know if you remember. I said, I remember you. It was that I want to do what is good for the people to transform their lives. And that is what it's about. It's about transforming people's lives. It's about giving every student a platform for them to be the best that they can be. That's what it's about. It's about people having the courage to demand what's theirs and the power is yours. You just give it to us to administer for a little while. But what I've seen in this past 3 very hectic days, because you sure know how to show a girl a good time. Is that people are committed, people are engaged, and more than in many other places, people are one. And yes, those of us that are Puerto Ricans will always be proud to be Puerto Ricans. And you may have your ups and downs, and you may have your lights and your shadows, but you have a love for each other. You embrace each other. And everywhere I've been, I say this to people, look around the room. Look around. Truly, look around. Truly look around. You're not looking around. And look at what this means. There's diversity. We don't all have to look alike or talk with the same accent or have the same color of skin or love the same way. You know, love is love. Love is love. People are people. Now, I understand that not everyone who has blood running through their veins is a human. They may look human, but they're not human. But what I see is a community that is trying, that is thriving, that understands that you don't want to survive, you want to thrive. And that it's willing to work against what others consider hurdles to move forward. And that is just brilliant. So now that I said that, again, look around, truly, truly, and see each other. You guys have seen the movie Avatar, right? You haven't seen the movie Avatar? Well, what are this kids with? You know what they say? I see you, right? And he says, it's not that you see them, it's that you see them. So what I've seen here is that people looking at each other with their hearts. And people embracing those that needed it the most. I've seen a lot of nasty women. There's one right here. And you know the definition of nasty, right? It's when a man calls a woman that can get the things done that he could not get done. That had received the help of the labor department to get jobs. So you're talking about right there 1,800 people. And the mayor mentioned how many students that have been enrolled in the public system? 230. There is nothing more important, and I know you guys think it sucks to go to school right now and get up and, oh God, yeah. You know, here's Mrs. Such and Such, right? Right? You like it? You rather what? Yeah. I know it seems like a drag, but I have news for you. If you don't get it done while you're here, you ain't gonna get it done out there. That's just the way it goes. Because it's not only 2 + 2, you know. I had a little friend that learned one song in the violin, and he said, I'm done. I know how to play the violin. I said, no, you know how to play one song. So I guarantee you, there's nothing more important than education. And you know why I know that? Because of 2 reasons. One, I am the great-granddaughter of a sugarcane plantation worker, a man that didn't know how to read or write. And he made a decision that rather than sending my grandmother to go to work like she was supposed to, he said, no, my daughter's going to have a better life. So he sent her to school when girls didn't go to school. And she was the first one in her home that learned how to read or write. And that gave her a lot of power. People from the town would go to her because they were getting letters and they didn't know how to read it. And she would read it for them. So just that one thing, they would pay her 1 cent, 1 penny. And that was back then a lot of money. Now you can't get anything with 1 cent. But remember, you start with 1.99 more and you have $1. So then she worked very hard, and she graduated from high school the same day my dad graduated from grammar school. She wore her first pair of shoes that day. She said she didn't know why they bought her shoes because they were so uncomfortable, and she took them off. They bought her shoes because she couldn't have gone to graduation otherwise. And then she came to the United States because she got a scholarship and went to New York University and Columbia University and became, she was tough, nasty. She didn't take no for an answer. And she worked at a cafeteria at night so my father could eat in that cafeteria during the day. And she went from extreme poverty to becoming the founding director of the School of Physical Therapy of Puerto Rico. So now that's the power of education. So it doesn't matter which town you come from, which barrio you come from, which community you come from. Education is a tool that you can use for yourself. It's a platform for you to do whatever you want. And then you can make all the money in the world that you want and play all the games that you want. But you gotta make sure that your children get all the schooling that they need. I mean, there are people that have made millions of dollars developing video games, so just don't play them, make them. You know, because when you are from a small community, people will tell you they can't do it. They'll tell you, no, Kelly's school, no. I mean, what comes out of Kelly's school? Because they used to tell my grandmother that. What comes out of it? They said, no, I want to go. And then she made sure that I knew that I had to go to school and study. I was very small. I'm not very tall, but I was very small. So she taught me something that I'm not trying to teach you, I'm just trying to make a point. Don't do this at home. She said, you're very small. When you get into a fight in the playground, you're going to have one chance, just one chance, because you're too little. If the next guy gets you, you're done, you're toast. So you have to hit a little harder, run a little faster, scream a little louder. And she taught me one thing, which I learned very much on September 20th. You never start a fight, but you never ever leave one unfinished. So it didn't matter to her if I won the fight or not. What it mattered to her is that I didn't back out and I didn't run away. That's what mattered to her. So it was really cool because if I got into a fight at school, as I did, they would call my grandmother and, she'd just look at me like, and then she would say to me in front of the principal, well, did you do your best? Did you start the fight? No. Did you finish it? Yes. And she would tell the director, you know what, there's nothing for me to say here. Except like the 7th or 8th time, she said, enough. I mean, I can't keep coming back here just because you get into a fight. This is not the way to fix it. But on September 20th, I guarantee you the worst snowstorm that you've seen has nothing on what happened to us. Just imagine you could not play games for 7 months because there was no electricity in your home, no gas, nothing. No video games, no cell phones, no TV. Any diabetics here? No insulin, no blood pressure medicine, no chemotherapy, no dialysis, no water, no medication, nothing. Nothing. And you start seeing things that as a child you shouldn't see as an adult, you should not be able to endure. I start seeing women hanging out to a rope just to get to the other side to get food and water for their children. And I start seeing the people of Comerío washing their children in creeks and rivers taking the water from the creeks to drink it because they had nothing else. And I started seeing doctors just using the light on their cell phone to operate on people because that was it. There was nothing else. And we thought the government was there to help us. And they didn't. They left us to die. But where the government wasn't doing their job, the American people were giving us so much love. People from Holyoke just went to Puerto Rico, and I couldn't fathom as a mayor how it was that the government was saying that the logistics were unsurmountable, but the people were finding the way. They literally would move debris from the roads and just get there, because you know what? The power of love and human spirit rises above anything. If you do something because you have to, you may get it right, but if you do something because you want to, because your heart pushes you to do it, you will always get it right. So I did what I had to do. I did what my grandmother taught me to do. I hit a little harder, I ran a little faster, and I screamed a heck of a lot louder for somebody to help us. Because we were dying, and the bureaucracy and the inefficiency was killing us. That was the truth. It wasn't a hyperbole. It was the truth. And I was sick and tired of seeing children not have water, not have food, not have medicine. I was sick and tired of getting to places and have children just come and embrace me and say, please help my mom. And then I would go to a home and I would find a mom, bedridden, that no one had taken care of her for days. And she had peed on herself and she had pooped on herself because there was nobody to take care of her, except for her children, except for her son or her daughter. So I did what any of you would have done. Because you see, ultimately the only important thing is that you take care of each other. And that you make sure that everyone takes care of each other. So it doesn't matter truly if you're black or you're white, if you're Mexican or an immigrant, or if you have papers or if you don't. If you love a man or you love a woman, it does not matter. We are all humans. And I guarantee you somebody will always try to pull you down. And they'll tell us that they're going to make fun of us because we have glasses, and they don't. And they'll tell me that they were going to make fun of me because I was little and they weren't. And we make fun of people just because they look different, or because they have different religions, and that doesn't make sense. But since September 20th, what we have seen in Puerto Rico is that the American people have opened their hearts and their arms to us. And you may have not known, but you saved lives. You literally saved lives, all of you. All of you. If all you did was say a prayer, or send a bottle of water, or go down to Comerío or to Salinas or to anywhere, you saved lives. That's it. It's simple. Sometimes government officials that are not good make it more difficult. But mayors that care make it very simple. It is about people. It is, after all, about we, the people. And we, the people, you know, it was interesting. I had a tour of the Supreme Court last week. Was it last week?
Yeah.
Yeah. This morning I woke up, I said, where am I? And they told us, I didn't know this, that all of the marble used in the Supreme Court outside of the actual chamber where the cases are heard is all marble from the United States. But the marble inside the chambers of the Supreme Court his own marble brought from Europe. And that the guy that decided everything was an immigrant that had to go back because he didn't have the necessary papers to stay in the States. So now, look at that. Look at that. And you have one of the greatest people that changed the face of the world alongside Gandhi and Mandela, Martin Luther King. And he taught us that we all had to fight together. But it didn't matter. That his job wasn't only to bring together blacks and white, but to start a healing process amongst the people. And so many of you have embraced me. But most of all, so many of you have embraced the close to probably more than 2,000 Puerto Ricans that have come. All we can say is thank you. That's all we can say. June 1st, and we still have 500,000 homes whose roofs need fixing. Suicide rates have gone up 55%, and now our schools are being closed by our own government. 283 schools are going to be closed. They started closing under the past administration, so it isn't just the hurricane. Privatization is looming, and things are being sold that shouldn't be sold. I hear, Mayor, that you municipalized the energy in Holyoke. Well, that's something that we would like to do. So we're looking at microgrids and nanogrids and solar light. Solar lights. Because you see, when you haven't had any electricity, and there's still today people in Puerto Rico that don't have any electricity. And even those of us that have it, we have to suffer from what they call power relay. That means that your home has power for a couple of hours a day, and then you stop having power, and then your home has power a couple of hours a day, and then you stop, and you, and so, and so, and so on. And we never know when we're gonna have or not gonna have power. So, good things come from good people. This solar pop that we call Cubes of Hope came to us from Operation Blessing, a non-governmental organization in Virginia, and they have distributed more than 2 million lights. Look at this. Could you hold on to this? It's water resistant. You can hang it. And all you have to do is you put it outside for 8 hours, and then it gives you 8 hours of light. Now this is the central one. If you want to read, you push it again, and it gives you a lot more lumens. And if you have a problem at home and have no way to tell anybody, you just do this. So it gives a community that has no power whatsoever the ability to communicate. Sort of like a Morse code. We should have some of these printed with the mayor's face on it. So just this have changed people's lives. Their lives have been forever changed and touched, and they know that there's a different way of doing things that is not the addiction to fossil fuel. And we have to go greener, and we have to go cleaner, and we have to do it now. Not tomorrow, but we have to do it now. And that's something that you young people have taught us. I'll finish with this. I am so honored to get this. But I'm very, very cognizant and that this isn't about me. This isn't about me. I mean, all I did was what I had to do. So my mother, when I used to come home and get an A, and I say, oh, I got an A on my report card, and she said, well, you want a medal? Yeah, want a medal? She always taught me, remember those are the grades that you already had. You still have to work hard for the grades that you're going to get. So this is about all the work that still needs to be done. But it's a reminder that we are all in this together. It's a reminder that when people look to each other, truly look at each other with their hearts, and see experiences, and see love, and see diversity as a strength, not as a way to push us. He wants to come up? Well, tell him to come the other way. You always have to have City Hall open to everyone. And I want to thank you, Mayor, because the kind of support that the Puerto Ricans that are coming from Puerto Rico after Maria have gotten will not be possible whether it not be for an administration that understands with the heart and with good public policies what things are all about. So I accept this honor on behalf of every child whose school is going to be closed. And on behalf of the fight that we have in front of us, so that those schools are not closed. I'm going to a big protest in Puerto Rico on May 1st. And we're hoping that everyone takes to the streets, doesn't in a very non-violent way. It doesn't matter how we do it, even if you put a little paper. I'm going to make sure I take this with me so that you're there with us, so that every Puerto Rican that has had to leave to survive is there with us. Because my job, not as a mayor, but as a human, is to make sure that I do everything I can every day to pay homage to those that died. More than 1,000 people are thought of have died. We don't even know how many yet. And it isn't the smiles, and I say it, and I say it, and I say it, that of the children that welcomed us that give me the greatest pleasure. It is the fear that some of the ones that died thought that they were dying alone because nobody cared. Because I know we didn't get to everybody. See, we are mayors. We're not wizards or magicians. There is so much we can do. And sometimes we cannot do it. So I know I didn't get to anyone. I know there were people that I didn't get to. So my hope is that they know that it was because I couldn't, not because I wouldn't. So every day I have to work a little harder and take a lot of crap from people that think that speaking up and standing up to the powers to be is not a nice thing to do. Especially because girls are not supposed to speak out and say what they mean. Well, I can't say it because there's children present. They can kiss that goodbye. So thank you so much for letting us know that we're not alone, for keeping hope alive, and for making sure that the frustration that we feel turned into positive action here. But don't forget us, because there's still a long road ahead of us. One that I am so proud not to walk alone, and one that I am so proud to follow. See, sometimes true leadership isn't about being up front. It's about following the people that are setting the path. So, thank you for having an open heart. Thank you for living your life the way you want to live it. For ensuring that bigotry does not take a hold of your hometown, or racism, or xenophobia, or homophobia, or anything that tells us that we should be kept apart. Because you have a mayor that is the true embodiment of what it means to say, I am perfect, just the way I am. And all of you are perfect, just the way you are. All are perfect, just the way you are. So do what my grandmother did. Hit a little harder. Walk a little faster. And scream a little louder.
And don't leave no fight unfinished.
Who said that? Come over here. Come over here. Oh, that's right.
Her hair was down.
And she looked a lot more, less nasty than today. So we're going to say, and we're all going to say it together. No matter what happens, let's all work together. Let's never start a fight. But let's never